You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the end is near.
Well, hello everyone. News today concerning the Watchtower. Serena Williams is officially retiring from tennis and lists spiritual goals as one of the reasons. Serial arsonist tries to take Kingdom Halls out in Canada, and an announcement was read at the Kingdom Hall this week concerning the resuming of the house-to-house ministry, and no one should be participating, that they're being pressured to do so. Also, we got some convention video clips, and I get some new rumors on New Light coming up next on the Six Screens. Well, good Sunday afternoon to all you folks, my friends. I am telling you, it is another great Sunday afternoon up here in New England. I'm glad you're on with us. Boy, we do this every Saturday night, every other Sunday, and we are finding that more and more people are coming in. Were you listening to the program last night? Did anybody hear that program last night? We had about 6 new people come in. Can you imagine that? People are leaving the Watchtower. They are hemorrhaging. They really, really are. They are really showing their true colors. Many Jehovah's Witnesses are saying, that's it, I've had enough. If you heard it last night, we had our friends Joe and Fran. Well, they came on the program last night on our Six Screen Saturday night. And they want to leave the Watchtower. They want to disassociate themselves before they get this fellowship. And I got a letter from Joe and Fran this morning, and they were so thrilled that they could come in last night and listen to the program, and they get so many good ideas, and they were taking notes, and they wanted me to personally thank all of you folks that called in and gave them suggestions. They said it really, really helped them. Listen, in real time, isn't that something to be able to listen to some of the things you would do if you're feeling you want to leave the Watchtower and you want to do it in a way that's not going to cause a lot of problems for you? We couldn't do that years ago. What would you do? I can remember talking to a good friend of mine. He's dead now. His name was Mark Paulo. And I remember when he was first wiggling his way loose out of the organization, he said, Rick, it was so bad. This would have been back in, say, the late 80s. He said it was so bad, he says, trying to get out. He thought he was one of the only apostates. But now there's plenty of apostates. There's thousands of apostates. In fact, I believe there's more apostates than there are Jehovah's Witnesses. So we got plenty of company here, folks. And that's what is so good when you're doing things in real time. Well, let's take a look here. Let's see what's going on. I touched on Serena just briefly. I'm going to put a picture of Serena up. We do have a picture of Serena. She's on Vogue magazine. She's on the front cover of Vogue magazine. I do have a picture somewhere. Where are you, Serena? Oh, my goodness. Well, I had Serena. Serena disappeared on me. But anyways, there she is. There's Serena. All right, there she is. There's the Vogue magazine. You can see it right there. That's the fashions for a new world, I guess. And there's Serena. It's a beautiful gown and a baby blue gown she's got on there. But she's in Vogue magazine in the September edition. And, many people have questioned Serena Williams, but it came out in the newspaper. And even Vogue, I guess, is touching on it as well, that she's leaving tennis. I mean, she was a superstar. You gotta give her that. She was one of the best tennis players that ever lived. Still is good, obviously. But anyways, she's saying that she's quitting tennis because she wants to pursue spiritual goals. Yeah, I mean, that's a term that witnesses use, right? But I mean, I'm assuming, sometimes you get in trouble when you assume, but I mean, I still believe she's connected. She was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. She was never baptized as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But, she, after every game, including even, I guess, some of the finals that she just was in, she did mention after every game, if she wins, that she stays here for a few seconds, a few minutes, I suppose, and she thanks Jehovah. So, I mean, she still has Jehovah's Witness in her. I mean, I don't know what her condition is now as far as wanting to go back to the Watchtower. I'm not sure she's going to do that, but these spiritual goals seem to be leading in that direction. I mean, many people would say that Serena Williams really wasn't in the truth. Many witnesses would say she was around the truth. She never really was a baptized witness, like I say. And so anyway, she definitely earned her retirement. And for her to suggest doing more for spiritual goals, she must have been heavily indoctrinated, and somehow she could live this life of a big sports star and not be totally affected by some of the conduct that she was engaged in. I mean, I'm not, everybody knows she got married out of wedlock. Everybody knows that she's married. In fact, I'll tell you who she's married to. I forget the man's name, but he's one of the founders of that Reddit that I get information from. Now, they just don't talk about ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and they talk about all kinds of subjects, but she's married to him. So, I'm just wondering how this is all going to work out. But, I'll tell you, it's funny. There's a lot of people. In fact, I knew people, even when I was a witness, that they forewent being a full-fledged witness, when they were in their teens, late teens, early 20s. They forewent it. They wanted to pursue a life of difference from the Watchtower. And what they would do is many would join the service and say, well, someday I'll come back to Jehovah. Many stayed in rock bands, many stayed in sports. And they said, well, someday I'll come back to Jehovah and he'll forgive me. At least in their own mind, they were saying that. They were rationalizing. But maybe that's what's going on with Serena. But maybe she'll be treated differently if she does go back. I mean, Prince, right? He was a Jehovah's Witness. He went door to door. And can you imagine Serena Williams going door to door? Just imagine that. Imagine it's a Saturday morning and you and your family get up and you're having some breakfast and there's a knock at your door. So, you go and answer the door and whoa, it's Serena Williams. Holy mackerel. I mean, so that would really surprise you, wouldn't it? But maybe they wouldn't recognize her. She has one of those COVID masks on, right? Well, we wish her all the best, but I want to bring that up. It's not, it's not the biggest story in the world. But the reason why I bring it up is because it always comes up in the ex-witness world. Serena Williams always comes up. Michael Jackson, Prince, all of these famous Jehovah's Witnesses. This always comes up, always does. But anyways, up in Hamilton County, Canada, well, that'd be up by Toronto, there's a serial arsonist, and he's igniting fires, evidently at two different Kingdom Halls, and the people up there are concerned. Yeah, in fact, it just happened the last week or so. Surveillance video actually caught this man outside the Kingdom Halls. He's spray painting the building and then was trying to set fire to the front doorway. Well, I mean, I don't know what he was spraying on the building. I mean, I don't know if it was swear words or words that would be against the Watchtower. I'm not sure what was on it. The picture doesn't show it, doesn't talk about it. But, you wonder why this is being done. Now, this is not the first time that we've talked about this on JW World News. I've talked about in the last 16 years, I would be willing to say I talked about at least 6 or 7 Kingdom Halls that have been burned, or at least attempted to be burned. In fact, even more than that. It was probably 20 halls. Seriously, because I know there was like 6 or 7 up in Seattle, Washington alone a few years back. But what is pushing these people to do that? Now, I would never encourage that. that is really terrible to go do that, and don't ever do it, please. I would never encourage it. But what is pushing people over the edge? What is causing some of these people to go and do such a heinous act? Well, this guy who did this, maybe he was pushed by some of the elders. Maybe he was really, maybe it's disfellowship and he got upset about it. Maybe he might have lost his family due to shunning. And, many of these people, sometimes they feel they have nothing to lose. Once you've been kicked out of the organization, all of your friends distance themselves, they won't talk to you. You feel like your life is over. So you say, well, I don't have anything to lose. I'll go burn that Kingdom Hall down. Let them deal with it. I could care less whether they arrest me or not. But that's bad behavior, and certainly don't resort to that. He's obviously a hurting man. Got to be a hurting man. And I'd be really shocked if we don't hear more of this coming out in the future. I really mean that. With all of the ugly gun shootings and murders taking place around this country and around the world, but just here in this country alone, the murders and all of the people who are carrying guns and shooting people, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if one of these Kingdom Halls gets shot up here in the future. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to, and I hope it doesn't, but they better have good security is what I'm saying. So, this could be a hate crime too.
Hey, Rick, these are very bad people, Rick. These are very bad people. These are very wicked people. These are very occultic people, Rick. Very occultic people.
Yeah, now you're
very evil people, Rick.
Oh, they're evil. Now you're talking about
21 Eleanor Avenue in Mastic, Long Island. 21 Eleanor Avenue in Mastic, Long Island. There's a woman in there named Angela. She's a witch, and she's a Jehovah's Witness out there at the Mastic Kingdom Hall.
Yeah. Well, it's very well. They're ticking people off. Let's go with that. So you see this stuff is going on. So Jehovah's Witnesses, they always go doing things to hurt people. They really do. They hurt a lot of people. And they're assuming that they can treat all ex-Jehovah's Witnesses like crap. Get rid of him, get rid of her. Well, some of these people are coming back for revenge. So I want to bring that up. But anyways, thank you for calling in. Yeah, they are evil people. I do agree with you. Announcements. Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment. I just got on late. I overheard you talking about vandalism or fires or something. Did they catch somebody doing this?
No, well,
because
I'm sorry.
Because I wanted to tell you, in a congregation I was in, when I was in the Watchtower, we had a couple kids throw some M80s, and if you know what an M80 is, it's a quarter stick of dynamite.
That's right.
During a meeting, pretty big explosions. So we called the police, and these were not witnesses. They were some hoodlums, out. And anyway, we did a police report, and about a week and a half later, the Kingdom Hall was broken into. They destroyed all the plumbing, and they spray painted satanic cult. Now, I know for sure that those were not witnesses. There were kids, wanting to vandalize a Kingdom Hall. So I just want to ask you, was this one of Jehovah's Witnesses that did this, or do they know? Because sometimes there are just hoodlums out there that do stuff like this too.
Yeah, well, this case, they don't know. They had surveillance cameras taking pictures, so they don't know. Okay. But evidently, he tried to burn 2 Kingdom Halls down in the same city up there in Canada. But
okay.
But they do have good footage of him. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I wanted to know. But I just wanted everybody else to be aware of that. There's the other element of people that are non-witnesses that have destroyed property give you an example. We had a middle school burned down by some kids. They caught the kids. They were not, witnesses. And like I said, this Kingdom Hall was targeted by kids that were not witnesses, and they did a lot of damage to the hall. They tore up the bathrooms. They spray painted, cult, and of course I knew it had nothing to do with ex-witnesses. They were just little thugs in our area, and this was in Kansas. But I just wanted to add that in. I mean, until somebody gets arrested for it, who knows that person is a witness or an ex-witness. It could be just somebody in the public.
Well, Joe, I mean, there are witnesses getting, they've been kicked out of the organization. They're ticked off. They've got nothing to lose, like we were saying. This actually happened at the Kingdom Hall that I went to before I left. Somebody went down to the Kingdom Hall I was attending and attempted to light it on fire. They took up some gasoline and sprayed it all over the front door, and then they tried to ignite it, and it did ignite, but it went out on its own. So they found out who it was, and who it was a man that was ticked off. He wasn't one of Jehovah's Witnesses, but his sister was becoming one, and he knew it was a cult. And he was trying to talk sense, from what I understand, into his sister, and she wouldn't listen. Oh, no, this is the truth. This is the truth. So he was so mad, he went down there trying to burn it down. Now, I don't think that was a sensible thing to do. I think the man is in jail today because of it. But not a sensible thing to do,
Yeah.
Joe. Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's terrible. It is terrible. Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
all right, there you go. Well, they had announcements this week. They had some announcements this week. They were read at the Kingdom Hall.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were read at the Kingdom Hall.
Hey, Rick.
I think, Peter, you got to shut your speaker off. We got some echo going on there. I think, Peter, you got to shut your speaker off. We got some echo going on there.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I muted my phone.
All right. It's a little better now. So what do you have to say, Peter?
Okay. Well, I guess I just wanted to make a comment about that the Canada problem. Apparently, in the last year or so, they've been burning churches down left and right, and the government hadn't done nothing about it. I don't know if this has something to do with that, maybe as well. I don't know. You're talking about disgruntled witnesses that had trouble or were, like you said, kicked out. I wonder if that's been going on as well. But I remember years ago here in Western New York, where I had been part of a congregation where they one of the guys, I guess, put a pipe bomb in the doorway of the ones in Naples, New York here, and I don't even know the outcome of that one. I don't even know what that was all about. But things have been happening, right along.
Oh, yeah. Well, there has been a number of attempts to burn Kingdom Halls down, but I'll tell you, the worst event ever happened back in the 1980s. It happened in Australia. And speaking about pipe bombs, somebody went into a Kingdom Hall and put some pipe bombs under the stage, and it blew off, and it killed a number of people. I believe there was, I'm not sure, but I know there was, I think it was 12 people, but I'm not sure. But I know at least 4 or 5 were killed in that attack. So, it's a sad thing when that happens, but it's going to happen more with Kingdom Halls being burned. There's no question about that. There's more and more people right now that are so upset with the Watchtower. It's just bothering them. And these are people who have nothing to lose. And some of these people have mental issues. So the Watchtower better, really learn their lesson. I would be very gentle with the way I treat people, but they could care less. They treat people like crap, Peter. They really do. They do. Oh, it's always good, Peter. I'm glad you're starting to call in here. I know you write me a lot, but I'm glad you're calling in and talking to us. I'm glad to hear your voice. Thank you. That's nice you're coming in. So you guys saw
Yeah, hello, Mr. Fearon.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear of the situation that happened like that. I certainly don't advocate violence. And if these people that are advocating violence are listening, please, it's got to come to a stop. That's not the right way to approach it and all that. Try our way for a change and so forth. And this, the way that the 6 screens going is the right way, not killing somebody. And yeah, violence amongst the Kingdom Hall people is not unusual in other countries and even here. Like, I mean, many years ago, I think in the 70s or 80s, there was a stabbing death amongst a couple of construction workers. Then recently, I just run across an old case in Pennsylvania where this witness family raised a couple kids. The couple kids went wayward and they killed their parents. I'm going to be digging that up and examining it a little further. I didn't have time the last time when I run into it, and so forth. So yeah, I want to call an end to the violence that is going on right here, and we want to call an end to the violence all over the USA, because if we don't get this country back on a constitutional law and order course, we're going to be going right down the tube, you know. So I'm sorry to hear of that, and my heart goes out to all the victims of the Watchtower, and, you know, all the victims in general.
Yeah, well, you brought up that case in Pennsylvania, Ken. That was a family down there that raised 2 boys, like you say. Birdwell was their name.
Yeah.
Sister and brother Birdwell. And they raised these 2 boys. They were young. They grew up. And they grew up to be skinheads. And I believe they became part of the Aryan nation and white supremacists. And they really became bad kids. I mean, rotten kids, to the point that they killed their parents. And then that made big time news. I believe that was back in the 80s too. But yeah, do some more information on it some night and come on and tell us about it. Okay. Give us some more color.
Okay, I'll see what I can find out. But yeah, it's a shame when things turn out that way and everything like that. And I guess that we really need to stop and examine our religion, because I mean, how does these things turn out this way if we raise kids, you know, in the name of religion, in the name of peace, harmony, loving kindness, and you know, concern and compassion for each other? How does these things happen? And I mean, somebody's got to really get down to the nitty gritty here and examine and see what's going on. Because yeah, this is getting out of hands right now. It's going to get to the point where there's going to be no religion left at all in this country.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's really, we can take this more than just a Jehovah's Witness issue. Crime is out of hand, and you're absolutely right. Yeah. And the government seems to be just loosening up for whatever reasons. I'm not sure, but they're letting people go. And in some states, they don't even have to post bail. And geez, you're getting pictures of people walking into drugstores and different department stores and grabbing stuff off the shelf and running out, and nobody even bothers them, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's got to come to an end and so forth. Yeah. And so my heart goes out to the victims and everybody. So, okay, well, I'm going to sign off right now. We'll take the next caller if somebody's calling in, and God bless and be with you all, and I'll talk to you next week.
Well, thank you, Ken. Yeah, so anyone else have something to say before we move on? Okay. Well, we're glad to see you guys all come. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment on Watchtower and children.
Sure.
Not only does Watchtower protect his image first and foremost, than protecting children, but it goes even beyond that. I want to talk to the Jehovah's Witnesses parents who always have this feeling of superiority over parents that are not Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'll ask you this question: who did better? Did you do better, a Jehovah's Witness parent, if you told your child to not pursue higher education, to not pursue anything where they could have excelled? How many Jehovah's Witnesses kids like to do sports? Maybe they had talents in art, music. And if you were a Jehovah's Witness child, you were told by your parents, yeah, maybe you can try, but we don't want you to get too involved. We don't want you to excel. How better are your kids off right now that you told them not to go to college, you didn't push them to get a proper education, to get good jobs, how better off are your Jehovah's Witness children now? So I just want to ask that question to parents. And I don't want to say that in a prideful way. It's hard to raise kids, and it's hard to raise them. But how much did the Watchtower fail you as a parent that they told you to not push your children to do the best they can be in school, to excel? Think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think about it a lot. I know two witness kids that were the smartest kids in high school. One of the brothers, he was a valedictorian. The other one was salutatorian, and they were the smartest guys. They both got scholarships, and they turned them down. They turned them down because their family was staunch witnesses, and they pursued other careers. One went on to be a full-time pioneer and then became a substitute circuit overseer. But what, are they any better? There's a lot of witnesses today struggling, sir. I mean, the kids of witnesses who were told, don't go to school and, just take a menial job. Don't get a good career. Shame on the Watchtower. Shame on them for even suggesting such a thing. I guess they don't mind putting people in poverty. I guess they don't mind doing it. They live pretty good. They live kind of high off the hog. Yeah, so good comment. Thank you, sir. All right. Did you hear the announcements this week? Boy, I'll tell you what, it's rocking the witness world. Many Jehovah's Witnesses, they do not like this announcement. They read it just this week at the Kingdom Hall. Here it is. We are delighted to share the following news with you. On August 3rd, 2022, the governing body informed all branch committees that they may resume the in-person house-to-house ministry beginning September 1st. After considering the local situation in our branch territory, we are pleased to provide the following direction that will be assistance to you in any way we can help you. So they're getting back to the door-to-door work, the house-to-house work. We know that. Now, I do like this little bullet point 2 that they attach to it. They say all should use good judgment when deciding whether to wear a mask when witnessing in person. When you approach people in the ministry, we know you will continue to show due respect and consideration for their feelings and circumstances. This will include maintaining a discreet distance. This is in harmony with Jesus' words in Matthew 7:12. All things, therefore, you want men to do to you, you also do to them. Well, I don't care if a person wears a mask, I guess. I don't see many people wearing masks anymore, but they're kind of leaving it up to you to wear a mask in the ministry or not. And also, but they do want you wearing the mask at congregation meetings. There's a little bullet point 3 on this letter. Mask wearing at congregation meetings. For the first time, we strongly encourage all. Not for the first time, I'm sorry. For the time being, we strongly encourage all to continue to wear a mask at congregation meetings. Jeez. I mean, would you want to go to the meetings having to wear a mask? It was bad enough going to meetings without wearing a mask. But now also in the service, they're suggesting that it might be good that you do it to show respect to the householder. Oh, yeah, that's going to look great. Here you are parading around the yard, people's yards with a mask on. They don't know who you are. People aren't open to having people knock on their doors anymore. The Avon lady, she's gone. The Fuller Brush man, he's out of here. The bread man, the milkman. I mean, these are all people who used to come to your door. They don't come anymore. The only ones left seem to be the Jehovah's Witnesses. Nobody wants to answer the door. They all have these sophisticated doorbells. Then they got the ring system that has cameras attached to it. They're not going to get to first base. People aren't even going to open the door for the witnesses. So good luck with that. But the Watchtower just wants to keep them busy. They don't get many coming in from the preaching work. It takes billions of hours to just bring a few people in. Really, well, maybe more than a few. But I mean, I'll give you an idea. when I left back in 2005, when Satan kicked me out of his organization, it took, it was actually, I think it was 9 billion. No, it wasn't that. I'm having a hard time even thinking here today. Let me see. It was so many hours. It took it was a lot of hours to bring one. Well, in fact, I got it now. It wasn't in billions. It was in the thousands. It took 9,000 hours. That's what it was. 9,000 hours to bring one person in the truth. So you look at all the wasted time that you spent going door to door. So anyways, they're going to go back. They're going to go back September 1st, and the witnesses are hating it. And I would hate it too. If you've been off for 2 years without having to go out knocking on doors, it must have been wonderful for the witnesses. They could go camping and hiking, and they could ride their motorbikes, and they could do things that somewhat normal people do. And now all of a sudden they got to take their weekends and back out in service. Oh my God, I don't know how they can take it. I really don't know how they can take it. And then the other thing too is at the same time they're saying, okay, let's all come back to the meetings. Let's go out and field service. There's been a number of local needs talks around the country, actually around the world in the last week. Local needs. Remember those talks they used to give? They were trying to encourage the brothers and sisters locally about something. Well, a lot of local needs talks in the last weeks have been given on COVID. So some of the people gathering at their meetings have had COVID, and they're saying don't come. They have to shut some of the meetings down. The same time, the Watchtower is, planning on big conventions, and that is really disturbing. A lot of the witnesses next year for 2023, they want to go back to big meetings at conventions. Now, you're saying to yourself, I could think, well, maybe they're being a little paranoid, the witnesses at least. I mean, there's people going to sporting events, right? But I guess going to a convention is a little different than even a sporting event. You're all cooped up. You got your dress clothes on. You have to act like goody two shoes. You can't be in casual clothes like you are at a sporting event. I would think what you got there at a Jehovah's Witness convention, I mean, that would be like going to the meeting on steroids. That would be nothing but a giant petri dish. So many witnesses are starting to voice their concerns. They don't want to go back to conventions either. So that's just what I'm thinking. I mean, thinking out loud. I know the witnesses have been very paranoid they have been about the COVID, including some of my own relatives who are still witnesses. They were scared to death of it. They still are. At least I know of a couple of my relatives that are still wearing masks. Some of them are afraid to even go back to work because they're afraid they're going to catch COVID. So I'm just saying that the witnesses really took this to heart. And now all of a sudden the organization made a 180 turn here very quickly, and they want to get people back. You want to come and say something? Go ahead. Who wants to say something? We got a bunch of people on here today. If you'd like to say something, you're on with us. All right, I guess not. But we do have a lot of people coming in. I'm just thinking here. Let me just check something out. I think we probably should go to jw.org right now. And, I got a tough job here. A lot of people say, well, Rick, you don't have a tough job. Well, I do have a tough job. I really, really do. I was going to play some clips, but I think I can just talk about some of these clips. You don't have a whole lot of time. But the witnesses, there's a convention video. And I had to, watch these conventions so I can report to you guys what's going on at the JW regional conventions this summer. So they've been having a series of videos, and I must say the videos aren't too bad. The videos are pretty good. The only thing is, I mean, they're using, the best looking witnesses, handsome brothers, pretty sisters. It doesn't look real to me. At least in the movies, they have a couple of heavies or a couple of people that aren't that great looking. But they try to pick the best of the best. This is where they might fail, but I mean, the music's good and what have you. And when you get into listen to the convention videos, Oh, they really love bomb people coming in. They play music, they show pretty pictures, and then they have a brother come on, and everyone's smiling, everybody's happy. It's really not the real world. It's not. So, anyways, there was a video I was watching on how paranoid the Jehovah's Witnesses are concerning COVID. Now, this was at the convention just this summer. It's playing right now, and it was a Sunday afternoon part, and it showed there was a young man in there, and his family. Well, he was probably about 20, and evidently him and his wife were living with the parents. And so, anyways, it shows the young man getting ready to go to work. So he just ate breakfast and he washed his hands. He was at the sink washing his hands. And the strict Jehovah's Witness father, he says, Johnny, or whatever the man's name was, he says, Johnny, you didn't wash your hands long enough. 20 seconds, please. So, Johnny makes a face back at his father. Geez, leave me alone. I don't want to be washing my hands for 20 seconds. But, he was really taking it seriously. So the whole family was all, so paranoid about masks. So they asked him, now you're going off to work, Johnny, you're going to wear a mask? And Johnny goes, well, not really. Nobody's wearing them at work. Well, Jehovah feels it's safe if you do it. And the whole family was so paranoid about COVID. See, this is a controlling technique. The more the Watchtower can control you, the better they feel. They control you from the cradle to the grave. So, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is they're still paranoid about the COVID virus, but yet at the same time, they're suggesting that people get out in service, plan for your conventions next year, get to the meetings now. You don't have to do it on Zoom. So they made this real quick, abrupt turn from having people staying home to now meeting again. And it's really freaking some of the witnesses out. So only time will tell. Only time will tell, and we'll see how it all happens. But there's so many witnesses that I've been talking to. They've been writing me emails, and so many people have been connecting and suggesting things on these forums that I get in and listen to. And so many witnesses are saying, we're not going to, if we have to go back out in service, we have to go back to the meetings, we're done. We're quitting. And that, it's obvious. There's a whole lot of Jehovah's Witnesses quitting right now. Well, why are they coming in here? Do you guys get on that Reddit forum? It's like a forum online. You can post on. There's a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witnesses in there. I got in there back in the 90s. It was about 1990. And at that time, there's only like 4,000 or 5,000 people in there. Well, I checked it out yesterday in that forum. There's 77,000 people in there writing in the ex-Jehovah's Witness, what they call subreddit. So they're growing exponentially. We're growing exponentially. All the people listening into these YouTubes. So what is causing it? Is it because we have such great programming? Not really. Is it because everyone is just top-notch Hollywood producers? Well, not really. The reason why all these platforms are growing is simply there's more witnesses getting out. Our audience is getting bigger. I've always talked about the 6 Screens as being a niche network. I mean, it's very small. We're not CBS News here. But my friends, I have to tell you, in the last couple of months, I am getting our boat rocked here at the 6 Screens. People have been pouring in like crazy. You're hearing even people today. I got a couple of people here today alone on Sunday speaking up for the very first time. That's never happened since we've been in business here doing this. And then also last night, we had 6 new people come in. So you tell me, years ago, if we got one person new to come in, I mean, one person would come in, maybe one new person every 6 months. But now we're getting new people coming in every time we have a program. So that's telling me something. You got to be like the CIA here. You got to extract intelligence. And the intelligence that I'm extracting in the world of the ex-witness is there getting to be more and more ex-witnesses. So that shows me there's more and more people leaving the Watchtower organization. I think it's good. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy that I see all of this happening. I really am. So I know you're happy too, right? And that's why we do the program. I don't want to sit here on the losing side of the ball game. No one wants to be a loser, but we're starting to get points up on the scoreboard. Really, the Watchtower is getting this really ugly, tarnished image, and everyone's knowing, even with the witnesses going back door to door, they're gonna get a shock. There's going to be so many people that have been watching the programs that we've seen on the Oxygen Network and the Vice Network, all about what Jehovah's Witnesses are doing, how they're covering up child molestation and sexual perversion all over the place and shunning. The world is catching up on these guys, and they're going to see these people out in service, and they're going to know who they are. They're going to know who they are, and they're not going to like the idea they're in the neighborhood. I'll tell you that right now. Well, the embarrassing governing body, and boy, are they embarrassing. I know you guys probably don't keep up on this stuff like I do, but, I get in there, I listen to Stephen Lett, I listen to Garrett Loesch and David Splain and Jeffrey Jackson and Tony Morris. I listen to these guys and I go, holy mackerel. These guys don't have anything going for them. Really, they're not good speakers. They're all overweight. They don't know how to talk to you. They talk to you in a condescending way. And I'm finding that many Jehovah's Witnesses are leaving the organization because of the embarrassing governing body. Yes, but I got some new light. I got some new light that's been coming in here to the 6 screens. Now, it's only a rumor, so, don't take it to the bank and cash it. But we do have some new light. And we know, just to get back on the governing body, because the new light has to deal with them. There isn't one governing body member that's charismatic. Not one of them. Not one of them is a good cult leader. And that's what they are, cult leaders, but they're all really, they're not charismatic. They look like they're nursing home patients. They don't really have the charisma that's needed to be a cult leader. So I'm thinking, this is what I heard. I got some stuff sent to me yesterday that kind of making sense. So now the new light is that the governing body members do not need to serve their role until they die. Now, for the most part, this is how it's been. It was like a tenure. When a governing body member was in, they were there until they died. Let's go with that. But now we're seeing some new light, evidently. Now, like I say, it's just a rumor, so don't take it totally to heart, but it does make sense to me. Circuit overseers, they have to get out of the business at 70 years old, and even head elders, the Kobe's, they have to retire when they're 80. So now we do have some governing body members, at least a Hurd, and at least Garrett Loesch, they're in their 80s. And, they're getting old. You can tell they're getting old. So I've always thought this, why bring these old fogies out? Why don't you got handsome Jehovah's Witness men there. Why don't you bring some of these guys on and let them be your new cult leaders? People really, you're not making any, you're really not serving any purpose in my estimation. But of course, I'm not in the Watchtower. But if I was in a position to tell the Watchtower what they should do, I hope I'm not giving them any ideas here. But get rid of all of those guys. Get rid of that Stephen Lett. Are you serious? You think that man is helping anybody to see the truth? Come on, that's not happening. So get some young guys in there, more younger, more cultier governing body. And I'll tell you what, that did probably get more people. And then all these governing body members, well, they can go off and live their days in Costa Rica, Cancun, and they can vacation there along with the New York Giants and all the old rock stars, right? Let them do that. But, I think you really should step aside and get real with all of this. Yeah, circuit overseers, they're removed when they're 70 years old. And I'm using the word removed. They don't say, well, I get to 70, I have to retire now. Many at 70, friends, I'm telling you, 70 years old is your new 60. I'm 70. I'm 74, and I'm doing okay. I really, really do. I feel okay. And so, but they want you to get out of the business when you're 70 if you're a circuit overseer. And okay, so I say that my thoughts on that, I think it's true. I think it's true. I believe that the governing body is going to be replaced by a younger, cultier, more charismatic men. It's not going to be women. They're never going to use women, but cultier men. Now, no, listen, I have no.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
I was wondering, since you did the story yesterday, who, if this is true, and it's 50-50 right now, we're not sure, but if it is true, who decides who goes, who stays, and if they make someone go, could it not be just for age? Could it be that they don't like their policies, or maybe they're not so enthusiastic about being a governing body member?
Well, Susan, the thing is, we've always said it here at the Six Screens, and everybody knows it. It's they tell you before they tell you. Now, there was a talk at the annual meeting, last year's annual meeting, there was a talk, 2021 in October. Hurd gave the talk. And in the context of that talk, he was saying that the governing body, they're not all going to be around. They're not going to be here even when the new system, when Armageddon comes. They're going to be out of here. So he's telling us right there that the governing body has a plan. They're coming up with some way to get them out of the organization. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I in a way I do though. In a way I do. I was watching the convention yesterday, and in the process of watching the convention, they were introducing different people. And every time they'd introduce a new witness, they'd say, help her to the writing committee, help her to the governing body. So they're getting ready. They're getting ready to make some monumental changes, I think, Susan. And that's all I can tell you. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
So instead of calling them Nephilim, they're going to call them helpers.
Help.
Thing,
They're using the word helpers an awful lot. Well, thank you, Susan. Very good question, though. Really good question. Now, more new light, friends. I tell you, it's kind of neat to we're speculating, right? We're speculating. But more new light. And this also got me thinking in today's Watchtower study. Yeah, in today's Watchtower study, what they're saying is children are having the freedom to choose to stay home from meetings and the ministry. Well, when's the last time you read something like that in the Watchtower? Well, let me just read it to you. I'm going to read it to you verbatim right on the Watchtower. It says, what if in spite of your best efforts, one of your children says that he does not want to serve Jehovah? Do you not conclude that you have failed as a parent? It says, do not conclude that you have failed as a parent. Jehovah has given us all, including your child, the gift of free will, the ability to choose whether we will serve God or not. If your child has decided to leave Jehovah, do not give up hope that one day he will return. Now, as long as I have been one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I know this is a fact because I was raised basically as a witness. My father wasn't, but my mother was. But you guys who had a father and mother both witnesses, you know as a fact, like even I do, that children could never stay home from a meeting. Children could never not go out in service with their parents. They were forced to go out in service. They were forced to go to the meeting until they were an adult, and then they made that decision. But now it seems like the Watchtower, in view of all of the children that are leaving, all of the children that are voicing their concerns, it seems like the Watchtower is now saying, don't worry, parents, you're not a bad parent because you failed raising your child as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So they're seeming like they're giving in. Now, I think it might be to cover their butts. I really, really do. I think it has to do with lawsuits. I believe this new light is saying that children now have freedom of choice, and the parents have got to honor the children's choice. Now, I wouldn't be saying this 2 years ago. I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole. But I'm beginning to see that children are getting more rights all around the world. And even I know there's a couple of governments right now, Belgium and Norway. Well, they're looking in to the practices of Jehovah's Witnesses and how they treat their children, not just in sexual child abuse, but in what they command of their children to do against their will. Children are getting rights. But I believe the Watchtower is spewing all of this PR fertilizer, and they're just covering their butts legally. But also there's another thing that comes into play here. The woke crowd. Oh, the woke crowd. You guys know what I'm talking about? That's the new way of doing business today. You know, the transgenders, the abortionist, the morning after pill people. You know, you can be a trans now, and you can even hide it to some degree. The school can know about it, but your parents don't have privy to it. You can tell the teacher that you do, and you hide it from your mother. They'll help you hide it, and you can even get an abortion without telling your parents about it, and even take a morning after pill without telling your parents. I'm talking about kids now under 18 years old. So, you know, Watchtower knows darn well that most young people today are computer savvy. Everything gets Googled. And Jehovah's Witness governing body are waking up to the knowledge that their message of force feeding these kids is not working. So I think for the fact of the witnesses, the Jehovah's Witness organization not losing parents, they're saying, don't worry about it. You just stay loyal and Jehovah will deal with your children. So that's my thought. I really think Watchtower is running scared over this. So that's my thought, but only time will tell. Well, you're on JW World News. If you'd like to come on and say hello to us, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, Rick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick. I had.
Go ahead, Dick. Go ahead.
I had a brother-in-law that had a daughter that got in trouble, and he was deleted as an elder because she got in trouble. It sounds like they're changing their attitudes quite a bit in the last few months. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, I do believe we have another fella coming in. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They just released this change once again about the resurrection, that if you're not a faithful witness, you will not be resurrected. So on the one hand, they're saying that. On the other hand, they're saying, oh, the children have the right. Like you said, this is for public consumption. This is so they can go before the courts and the governments and say, oh, no, we allow children to do what they want. But, you know, most attorneys aren't smart enough to say, hey, they just said, I think it was May or June or July, I can't remember. I think they studied in July, where they said that if you were not a faithful witness until the end, that's it. No resurrection. You will be dead, and you have no hope. You go right to the lake of fire. So, you know, this is just, like you said, it's propaganda, it's nonsense, it's gibberish. I do want to say one more thing, which I want to apologize. I didn't realize I offended somebody, Debbie, last night. I used the R word when talking about, you know, the governing bozos, okay? I said that the stupidity of these R word, referring to, you know, the people that, you know, let's say that babies are enemies of God and some other nonsense about 1914. And I think I used a second time, I said that I heard nothing but retarded excuses, and I shouldn't have said that, but the R word, regarding, you know, the CSA. So I want to apologize to Debbie for that. I should have used the word brain dead, which you used a couple times, which is fine. I use it myself. But apparently the R word is very offensive. I know when I was growing up, it was actually a legal term. The two French psychiatrists came out in the 1920s, and they came up with the term
the R word, the imbecile word, and the idiot word to describe people with low IQs. And I understand it's now an offensive word, so I shouldn't have said that, and I want to apologize. I should have used brain dead like you did, and I just want to make sure if I don't get on here when Debbie's on here, that you can translate or transmit that apology to her if you could.
Well, Kevin, that's awful nice of you, and I will do that. And but you didn't.
Hello?
It wasn't too bad, but I'll give that to her. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. We got someone else on. Go ahead. Say hello. All right.
Rick?
Hold on one second. Go ahead. Got a woman on there first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Emery. Go ahead.
No, thank you. I was just remembering when I was being raised in the organization, by the time I was 13, we had moved to a more affluent congregation. And that's where I saw the ugly, the hypocrisy, the cliques, the judgment, the snobbery. And I knew at 13 something was very wrong. By 14, I absolutely was convinced that I wanted nothing to do with these people, but I had to go to the meetings because the Watchtower was very firm on spiritual parents being good spiritual parents. You get your children to the Kingdom Hall. You make sure they study their lessons. You make sure they do their family study. You make sure they go out in the ministry. That's your job to, as a spiritual parent before Jehovah, to train your children, blah, blah, blah. And I remember getting beaten with a wire hanger because I was late getting ready for the meeting. I was like running 5 or so minutes late. And my brothers, because we walked to the Kingdom Hall. It was about a mile walk, and we walked to the Kingdom Hall and had to walk back. And my mom came in and started beating every one of us because we were late getting to the Kingdom Hall. And now children get to make up their mind. And my mom didn't even go to the meetings because she was sick. Thank you.
Thank you. Constance, go ahead. You're on.
Yeah, hi, Rick. I just wanted to say, last night your show was really awesome. I just really loved all the new people that chimed in. I mean, we had Jeanette, on Anne Marie's show, which was incredible. And then there was Summer Breeze. Oh, man, I mean, that woman had to blow off some steam last night, big time. Oh my God! I think my rooftop blew off last night with her. It was so funny, Rick, because so many people are just chiming in and really having the courage just to be able to speak up. The show is getting great, and of course, I always love when Dan comes on, and I thought it was pretty rockin' awesome what he had to say about Let with the channeling, and I mentioned it to Joe. I know Joe's listening right now, and yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Rick, with regards to Stephen Lett, because that one sister that chimed in last night, she said, my daughter and I had met him, and he doesn't speak like that in person. And then Dan came on and said, well, it could be through a channeler, through spiritism. So it was a great show. And, Rick, my heart goes out to all the kids that are born and raised in this cult. I can't even imagine what that must be like. Very, very sad, but anyway, a great show. And one last thing, our dear friend Rich Borgie, today's his birthday, so I wanted to be sure and remind you of that. Rick,
I was just going to thank him for for coming on and tell him happy birthday, Dick. And you're a good guy, Dick, and you're moving forward like I am, but I'm still a little older than you, so I can still tell you what to do, like a big brother. Yeah. Well, happy birthday, Dick, and everyone.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
There you go. In fact, that Summer Breeze, I mean, that's kind of a light name for her. She should be Hurricane Susie, really. I'll tell you, she was something else, that woman. But that was good. We had a good program. Well, I think that about does it. We want to thank everyone for coming in to Six Screen Sunday today. Now we have JEHOVAH'S. He's coming up next. He at one time was associated with the writing department of the Watchtower. I'm going to send him off a link. He's going to knock me for a loop. But anyways, I'm going to send him off a link. He'll be coming on Facebook. We're going to end broadcasting here on YouTube and Facebook for now, but we'll be back in just a few minutes So don't go anywhere. Come back and see us. We'll be back on. So we're going to end this right now. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower, as we always say, please turn off the new light. All right, let's end this